Heather McDonald has got the juicy scoop. When you're on the road, when you're on the go, Juicy Scoop is the show to know. She talks Hollywood tales, her real life Mr. Segment serial data and serial sister. You'll be addicted and addicted fast to the #1 tabloid real life podcast. Listen in, listen up. Whoop whoop. Heather McDonald, Juicy Scoop.
Hello and welcome to Juicy Scoop. Lots of hot topics to get into, and then I have a fabulous interview in person with Real Housewives of New York OG Jill Zarin. And it's about the second or third time I think I've had her on the show, but she always reveals stuff I didn't even know. So get ready for that. Speaking of New York, the taglines are out. Face Reality 16 on Instagram, just posted right before I started to tape, thank goodness. And I'll just read some of them to you. Luann's is, out of all of my vices, being glamorous is one I'll never give up. Ramona, obviously my favorite, is, I may say the wrong things, but my intentions are always right. Leah, I'm sex positive and BS negative. As I said before, sex positive is the new way of saying I embrace my sluttiness. We can't say sluttiness anymore. You just say you're sex positive. You just are ready to bone all the time, and everyone just cheer you along as long as you keep your legs closed to married men. Okay, who else do we have? Oh, and then Sonia's is, just like New York City, Sonia Morgan never goes out of style. So one thing I noticed is they're all pretty short, which kind of, I think, works the best. And then the new girl, Ebony, since I don't do an impression of her because I haven't seen her yet, she has something along the lines of, I've had to work twice as hard to get half as much, but now I'm coming for everything. So that's pretty good. Okay. The funeral happened. For Prince, my God, why can't I remember his name? What's his name? Philip, Prince Philip. And there were moments where it looked like the brothers were talking, Prince Harry and Prince William, thanks to Kate. And then someone brought up this point. They said, why is William's pants so short? And they show him walking, and they are quite short. They're like, did he grow at 40? I know, that was fine, weird. And also Prince Andrew was there. Well, what do you want? He's not in jail. He is their son. Of course he was going to be there. Speaking of the royals, so Sharon Osborne went on Bill Maher's show on HBO to talk about leaving the talk. And they showed the same clip all over, so I didn't watch the entire thing, but I've read all about it. Basically, Bill Maher just said, let me get this straight. The Meghan Markle did an interview, and Piers Morgan said he didn't believe everything she said, and you said, I don't know if I agree with everything Piers Morgan says, but he's my friend and he's entitled to an opinion. And then you both were called racist and you both got fired. Is that about right? And she's like, yes, that's exactly right, Bill Maher. And then she went on to say a little dig on Prince Harry. She said he's the epitome of white privilege. He boo-hooed, cried that his daddy cut him off when he's an educated, smart man. I've said the same thing. Obviously, he just was telling his story, but the truth is they have like 12 deals, Netflix, Spotify. He's, putting a podcast together. He's feeding chickens. He's basically living Peter and my life, but in Santa Barbara in a slightly larger home. So I get what she's saying. I don't know. I guess it was good she went on Bill Maher. I think people are just like, who cares? I don't think they're going to replace her. She's 68. She'll be just fine. She will probably start a podcast with Chris Harrison. Okay. Now, to get to Colton, the Bachelor. So there's been a lot of mixed reviews, and I talked a little bit about this on Patreon. Let's not forget that he stalked and harassed Cassie, who was his pick from when he was the Bachelor. And people felt that this was just really glossed over in the Robin Roberts interview with him. And then, of course, the news came out. He is doing a show with Netflix with this guy named Gus, who's like some really hot Olympian, who's going to be his gay guide. And not all the gay community really loved that. They felt like why Lance Bass came out and said, why is he capitalizing on it? Well, I love Lance Bass too, but he was on the cover of People. Ellen was on the cover of People coming out. So, I mean, I say too, why can't people just do like a fun speech and not have a product or a TV show over it? But you know what? I'm going to save any kind of big announcement I have for an opportunity. So I don't know what announcements I have coming up, but we'll see. Anyway, we looked into this further and we pulled up the entire restraining order that she was getting, and it was all these texts. And I think the creepiest thing about it all that I forgot about is that he was texting her as like a stranger and sending her kind of weird, cryptic, like almost like a haiku kind of thing that probably scared her a lot. And my understanding is that she didn't know it was him. She thought she had a whole nother weird stalker being like, oh, you like to play games? You better play games. When in fact, it was Colton sending her these texts from an anonymous person so that she could even sleep less at night. Of course, he put the tracker on the car. She didn't know why he kept showing up places that she was at. He finally admitted, or they discovered he put the tracker. And then in the end, she did not go through with the full temporary restraining order. There was just, the full restraining order, that did not happen. There was just the temporary one. And so he doesn't have that on his record, that there is no restraining order against him right now. However, in January, he republished his book or made more copies, and he added a new chapter about his breakup with Cassie. No mention of being gay in January when it came out, but the chapter said that he really loved her and he was blindsided and she really broke his heart, which isn't cool. Anyway, she has stayed silent throughout this whole thing. She has not responded. She's still gorgeous. Remember, she had all the beautiful blonde sisters. So maybe she's done ever being in the limelight, but I would love to hear from her. Okay, speaking of Bachelor, Addison Rae, aka 42-year-old Kourtney Kardashian's best friend, who she hasn't posted about since August, since she got her boyfriend Travis, they just did a little TikTok with their masks on, and in the back was Matt the Bachelor. So now he's hanging out with 19-year-old TikTokers to stay relevant. And then he posted a photo called Destroy Racism. He has the heavy beard, as we know. He invited Rachel, his pick, to visit him in New York, and then blew her off, and that was all in Us Weekly. So he's been contacting her and kind of playing with her emotions. Hopefully she's just moving on. Whether you like her or not, they're not meant to be together, okay? Also, Caitlyn Jenner, she got in on the TikTok fame, and she did a TikTok with this guy named Noah Beck. He's a real cutie, and so everybody knows, you know what, you want to stay relevant, get in touch with a TikToker, drive around in the car with them, do a dance, have them come on your reality show, stand in the back with a scary beard, and just have some people go, what, was that Matt the Bachelor? That's how you do it. Speaking of the Kardashians, Kanye West, according to Page 6, says he is annoyed that all his fans think that it was Kim Kardashian who initiating the divorce, because according to this, he said he blocked her from calling him and said, if you want to get in touch with me, go through my security. And that was 2 months before she actually filed for divorce. I mean, come on. Anyway, she was seen at a hot party in Miami this weekend. Body looked banging. I'm wondering if she's depleting the ass a little bit, getting away from that, because She had it like a lime green, again, a color, very fitted dress. You know, they use tailors for everything. But her legs looked great, muscular and lean. She had a high slit up and then there were a lot of photos with some like new singer or something. And there was talk of like, wait, what's going on with them? I think she just needed to take a lot of pictures with a hot guy. Anyway, she's having fun. Teresa Giudice's ex. Now, I shared on Patreon that back in February, I had a Juicy Scooper call me, contact me, and tell me lots of scoop about Teresa's new guy, Luis's exes, and that there were two significant ex-girlfriends between his wife and Teresa. I think there were three maybe, that two fiancés that he dumped abruptly. One, he, according to all these sources, could not get enough sex from. He wanted sex 4 times a day, and that was not enough. And they were engaged, and then he just like dumped her. Another one, the wedding was planned. There was invitations and everything, but then it became very volatile and they broke up. And then he was dating some new girl when he was like riding his bike down the street or whatever and saw Teresa and her girlfriend walking. And that was in the summer when they were filming the show. And then they started to date. And now we're seeing on Real Housewives of New Jersey the beginning of that relationship. She's saying these girls just want their 15 minutes of fame. We're madly in love. He's met Joe, my ex. We all get along. Now she said, Joe never was touchy with me. My next guy I want to be all over me. So boning 4 to 5 times a day might just be the perfect guy for her. I don't think she was having a lot of sex. I don't know what the deal was. Remember they owed money. The story was that they owed money for a minute to like a fertility clinic. I'm not saying that they didn't have sex every day, but maybe they didn't have it as often as she portrayed it to be on the show, because she always talked about having so much sex with Joe. And now she was saying, no, my next guy, I want to be very touchy-feely with me all the time because I didn't have that in my last relationship. Kind of interesting. Anyway, he's super horny. It looks like she's super horny. I remember seeing an Instagram story with her and Dina Manzo, and they were in a bed together and they were on a vacation together. Tell me if you don't remember this, but it went around and they were like making out. I don't know if it was just a joke, but Teresa was like putting her hand down under the covers near Dina, and Dina, they're like really good friends, and Dina looks, very different now because when she and her husband were attacked, she ended up getting this nose job. She looks about 25. Anyway, I think she's real horny. I think she's experimental. I think she is loving life with this guy. But he does sound like a love bomber. He does sound like someone who's super into you, can't get enough of you, then becomes possessive, then, starts to turn things around and be like, you don't love me. And the person then goes, what are you talking about? And then you're like, how do we get back to those first 6 months when we were just boning all the time and in love? So we'll see what happens. Maybe they're the perfect match for each other. Real Housewives of Atlanta was so funny last night. I thoroughly enjoyed it. It was a holiday party that Cynthia threw, and it was the White Elephant Party. And I guess they had never really played it before, so Cynthia's assistant was kind of reading about it. And originally they were going to do it for $100, which I think is what we normally do at my friends and I, but they did it for $1,000. And I think that's kind of great. If you can afford to do it more or even make it $500, I do think it'll make your White Elephant Party a little more exciting. And it was just pretty funny of what they got. Portia did not like Cynthia's gift. It was some Tiffany's bracelets. I'm sure it added up to $1,000, but it wasn't great. Marlo just gave $1,000 in cash, but she didn't show up to the party. And then Drew's gift was her ugly wig that nobody liked. And then she brings out this like old tape recorder, reminds me of what I had like in 5th grade, and plays a tape of Prophet Loft saying how he did have a relationship with LaToya, but then it wasn't really confirmed. It was like more like he was just saying, yes, in my own life, I started to speak to my current girlfriend while I was still married to my wife, meaning the relationship was over, but I already started to fall in love with someone. So they're like, is that what they're talking? Was he just talking about that LaToya might be falling in love with someone now that she's getting a divorce, but it's not necessarily Prophet Loft. Anyway, Candy's like, who cares? You know, it's the guy who has the baby mama and the fiance and this. It's Prophet Loft who's currently in a relationship. It's not LaToya. LaToya is getting divorced. So whatever LaToya does doesn't really matter. But then Drew's like, but now Prophet Loft can't bless my baby. Anyway, it's pretty entertaining. Sex in the City. Apparently the scoop is Aiden is coming back. I've heard so many rumors about this. I've obviously written my own script 12 times over. One of the rumors that I kind of like is that Chris Noth goes to prison for white collar crime. I think that's juicy. I think that's better than him dying. We can go visit him. She can be torn. I don't know. I kind of like it. What's going to happen there? And while he's away and she's being ostracized because she is with this guy that maybe there was a Ponzi scheme or something, maybe some friends got screwed over, Aiden comes around and he's now divorced with the 3 kids. Is there chemistry there? Does she hang out with the 3 boys? She's not a boy mom. She's still wearing a Manolo Blahniks. So some people didn't like the fact that he might be coming back with his leather chair. I like it. I wanted that for Sex and the City too. I wanted her to come back to the city, continue to have a little flirty affair with Aiden while still being married to Big. So maybe we'll see it in the show. I'm down for it. Tom Hanks' son is a rapper, and he wrote a song called White Boy Summer. And he's got a lot of girls who are black shaking their ass in his face. His face is hitting their ass cheeks. You have to watch this video. Justin Martindale, who will be here on Thursday's show to discuss more, he had another doozy tweet. He said, if COVID didn't kill Tom Hanks, this will. Also, his name's Chet Hanks, but he spells Hanks Hanx. But we all know it's Rita and Tom's son. He's very tatted up. It's almost like a parody. People said it reminded them of Jamie Kennedy's movie Malibu or whatever, where he was a rapper from Malibu, like a very privileged white kid that thought he was hardcore. Hilarious. This killed me. Demi Lovato, we love you. We care for you, but you're out of line. She tweeted, finding it extremely hard to order froyo from the Big Chill Official, that's the name of the frozen place, when you have to walk past tons of sugar-free cookies and other diet foods before you get to the counter. She wrote on her Instagram story, do better, please. She also added the hashtag diet culture vultures. The Big Chill wasn't sweet on the critique and later defended itself on the shop's Instagram story and tagged the star, writing, we carry items for diabetics, celiac disease, vegan, and of course many indulgent items as well. Then she wrote back, who has been candid about her bulimia. She wrote, they also said, we're not diet vultures. The Big Chill wrote to her, we cater to all of our customers' needs for the past 36 years. We're sorry you found this offensive. Then she doubled down and said her experience there was triggering and awful. You can carry things for other people while also carrying another percentage of your customers who struggle daily just to even step foot in your store. I mean, come on. I think she is so wrong to say that she went into a yogurt place and was triggered because they had some sugar-free items there. I mean, what the hell? Okay, Demi, you lose on that one. Sister Wives, I cannot stop watching it. Let me tell you something. It was 2 hours last night. I watched every second. Out of all the reality shows that have dealt with COVID, this is the juiciest one because Cody is really strict about about who gets to see each other because they don't want to spread COVID among the 4 different families. However, he gets to go to whatever wife he cares to see, which is basically just Robin. We find out, we always knew Mary, wife number 1, was miserable and that they had no relationship. And then they haven't had sex in years and he wants nothing really to do with her, even to hang out. But now Christine, number 3, says, I don't like plural marriage. I don't like living in Flagstaff. I don't want to build a house on Coyote Pass. I'm not into it. I'm not into Cody. And Mary's like, come on, you've put 25 years in. I put in 30. Let's not give up. And she's just like, I'm not into it, Mary. Just like you're not into Cody. I'm not into Cody. So a Juicy Scooper said, why don't we just have Mary and Christine have their own spinoff and date and live a single life and not deal with Cody at all. Cody says he hates plural marriage too. He wishes he never even stepped foot in it. And they're like, what? 18 kids later? Meanwhile, what's her name? Janelle, this one on the end. She is like the nicest and gets along with everybody. She's wife number 2. But then I looked this up and I found this very juicy. Janelle was basically Janelle's mother, after she was a child, married Cody's father. So Cody's father is both her stepfather and her father-in-law. So I guess that's how they met. And she became wife number 2 just a couple years after Mary was wife number 1. Oh, wait. I even found more. Janelle was married to a man in Salt Lake City in December of 1988, but they divorced in 1990. So Janelle was married to someone and then divorced him and then married her stepfather's son, who's Cody, as wife number 2. And she was introduced to her from Mary, and their friendship grew to a place where it was equal to Janelle's friendship, and the two were spiritually married because can't really be married. Anyway, just so juicy. I can't get enough. Also juicy is I had a real fun night Friday night. It was Jill Zarin's last night in town. She's very good friends with Patty Stanger. Patty's very good friends with Gretchen, who I know of Gretchen and Slade. I know Patty, of course. So we all went out to dinner. Josh Flagg joined. I'm going to share the details of the night, of course, on Patreon. So you just go to heathermcdonald.net, click on Patreon, and join. Get your life changed. I look beautiful thanks to Dr. Kasabian. Yes, Dr. Kasabian from LiftMD. I finally, after not treating my face the way it's normally during the COVID, they are open. I got my Botox. It's settling in. I'm feeling pretty cute. I'm feeling like the old Heather. Check him out. He is amazing. And that's right in Beverly Hills. Okay, so now, guys, I'm excited to share with you a very juicy interview with my friend, Jill Zarin. Hello and welcome to Juicy Scoop. I have the legend, and I'm not talking about her dog. I'm talking about the dog's human, who is Jill Zarin.
Thank you.
Jill, you're here with Bozzy.
First of all, can I just say how excited I am to be in the Juicy Scoop headquarters that I've heard about. I feel like I've lived your success from the beginning when you had. I may have been the first. I hope I was the first follower. And now you have hundreds of thousands, if not more. I'm so proud of you. I just had to say that. I'm so proud of you. And I remember when you were in your house doing it.
Yeah.
And then you got an office. Like, that's like grown up. Like, they pay rent, they have, expenses. I mean, and this is so impressive. She has a green screen. She's got a beautiful lit Juicy Scoop. I feel like I'm a little bit on Andy Cohen's set with all the product.
And we have these hardwood floors, which are soon will be blessed with the Jill Zarin rugs.
Oh, they're on their way. I mean, I'm going to measure. I'm pretty good at measuring. I can measure with my feet, and we're going to order you some rugs.
Thank you. Well, there's so many questions that the Juicy Scoopers have. I mean, I literally wrote them all down, and we're just going to go through them.
You're kidding me.
Okay, yes.
You put this up for questions?
I just put it up for questions because I'm like, I don't want to miss out, and you've been on a couple times.
Yes.
So I want there to be the right questions. Okay.
And you got all those questions from fans?
Yes.
Oh, my God. Thank you,
from
guys.
My Juicy Scoopers.
I'm overwhelmed.
So we're just going to go right off the bat. Which housewife are you closest to? I think I know the answer.
Luann.
Yes.
Yes.
Luann. And Luann, you knew each other. You told me you like met at a party before either of you were on Housewives.
Like a month before.
Oh, just a month before.
Yeah, but we were fast friends. The show kind of helped bring that together, but it was instant love. I'll make a long story short. Bobby actually met her first with her niece at a Harvey Weinstein movie premiere party. Could you imagine? And Bobby, being the generous Bobby, went to
Yes.
the bar to get himself a tequila and saw a lovely girl at the bar and bought her a drink. You know, because Bobby and I have that kind of,
Yeah.
there's no... He just saw like a damsel in distress kind of thing.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
he buys everybody a drink. And he bought her a drink. And then I guess that was Luann's niece. And then Luann came over and Bobby bought Luann a drink and said, you have to meet my wife, Jill. You would love her, because they were talking. And I don't know what I was doing. Anyway, so then he brought her over to me. It was love at first sight. We hung out the whole night. At the end of the night, she gave me her pink business card, which she still has, that said, Countess de Lesseps, whatever it said, and her phone number, and her email. And she said she was leaving for Europe the next day to Switzerland or wherever, and we would try to get together when she gets back. Boom. A month goes by. A lot of things go by with the show. They're in the middle of casting the show. They start casting the show. Producers are asking me, do I know anyone? And I had already introduced them, I think, to Bethany. I had introduced the producer. I go into the producer was at my house. I go upstairs at a walk-in closet. I walk in and I see that pink business card on my counter. And I remembered in our conversation that she told me she was a newscaster. She had like a little show when she was in Italy in Italian.
Right.
And that she had something in the United States. But she wanted to be famous. I mean, it was obvious that she wanted to be famous.
Well, she was at the Harvey Weinstein movie premiere.
Yeah, and she told me she had been, she wasn't shy about it.
Right.
So I saw that business card and the light bulb went off. And by the way, and she was beautiful and tall and elegant and a countess. I mean, what's better than that? So I see that business card and I go, I got it. So I take it and I run downstairs to the producer. I go, I think I've got someone. Oh my God, but I think she's in Europe. Let me email her. I email her. She writes me back, I'm coming home tomorrow.
And when in the email, did you say,
Yes.
I'm working on this TV show?
I cast on this reality show about glamorous women and their kids. I think you'd be perfect. Her children went to the same school as Allie. I mean, it was just beshert, which is a Yiddish word for meant to be.
Okay.
And that was it. So I said to her, well, then I'm going to introduce you to Kira, who was the producer, and the rest is history. Kira went to her house. They did whatever they did, and she was on the show. So one thing about Luann, very loyal, and is always loyal, grateful, loyal, whatever, that I got her on the show.
Oh, that's nice. I love
really
Luann,
nice.
too.
And that's kind of the bond that we have.
Yes. Okay, so people ask, we know that you're addicted to Diet Coke.
Yes.
I've only known you to drink Diet Coke. Is there a bigger story behind the fact that you don't drink?
There really isn't. There really isn't. So it's funny you said that, though, because the other night we were in Vegas and the company who does my rugs took us out for dinner, and they always take us out for a nice dinner.
Yeah.
So we're at this fancy steakhouse, and I ordered my Diet Coke.
Yeah.
And I hear the sommelier talking to the owner of the company, and he's saying words like, it's epic, mind-bending, epic, mind-bending. And I'm hearing this, and I'm like, what is epic and what is mind-bending? This wine that he's ordering. And I'm like, So the wine comes to the table, and he's making a big fancy deal out of it, and it's a 1982 something.
Okay.
And I get up from the table, and I walk over to the sommelier who's getting all his tools together to open this 40-year-old cork so it doesn't fall apart. And I said to him, tell me about this wine. I actually videoed it, and I did some Instagram stories on it, but I have it. And he's telling me, I don't even understand what he's talking about, all this stuff about the wine. And I said to him, how much does that wine cost? And he says, it's about $3,000. I'm like, are you kidding me? They're spending $3,000. I said, oh, you got to get me a glass. So I did. I had some. And it was great. It was smooth. No bite. I don't like wine that bites.
So it was a red wine.
It was a red wine, but it was so smooth, and it maybe mind over matter. It was like $500 a glass, so it was like liquid gold. It was more expensive. It was delicious, but I still don't like wine because an hour later I was yawning.
Really?
I was tired. It makes me tired. I feel like I'm allergic.
So did you finish the entire glass?
Oh yes, but there were 6 people.
Okay.
So we all had this
a little
much.
glass, but you did have the whole glass.
Oh yes, I wasn't sharing it.
Okay, so on a very, very rare occasion.
Yeah, and
so
I'll have
it
a
was never
mudslide.
an AA situation. It just didn't agree
Had
with
nothing
you,
to
kind
do
of.
with it. I never really drank. The first time I ever drank was when I was 21. I went to a club, a disco, and I had kamikazes, which really after the first one tasted like lemonade.
Yes.
It really after the first one
I
it
remember
tasted
the
like lemonade.
kamikaze days, yeah.
And I got home that night and I threw up all night. And that was kind of traumatizing as far as like alcohol.
Yeah.
And I just never liked it. I don't like the taste of it except for like a mudslide or a pina colada.
Yeah.
Sweet drinks. I like the Manischewitz, the cheap wine at the Jewish holidays, because it's sweet.
Okay.
I don't like the taste of it.
Okay, good to know.
But if it's $3,000, I'll drink it.
Now, we always talk about this back and forth. Would you go on Housewives again? Now, you've told me you'd been friends. We've seen you at a dinner over the years, a thing, a that. And then, I don't know. We have very honest conversations about it. Sometimes
Sometimes I say yes.
absolutely never. And then
sometimes
other
I
times
say
you're like, I
absolutely
don't know.
not.
I would. I think it would be fun.
I think it depends on the circumstances, to be honest.
Yeah.
It really does. I mean, my ego wants to be, of course, invited to everything. Like I have FOMO. Like you went on a trip with some friends. I'm jealous that I didn't go. I told you that too. So sure. I mean, did I get that trip that the girls are doing next week or whatever?
What are you talking about? You mean the...
There's a housewives trip of like two
so
girls
it's like-
from each show.
Oh, right. Okay, yes. Do you know who's doing it?
Well, I know who everyone else knows is doing it. I mean, I know Luann is doing
Yeah.
it. I think Sonia is doing it. I'm not sure about Ramona. Kyle Richards is doing it. Melissa's doing it. Cynthia's doing it. That's all I know. But I'm
Or
sure
they went
there's
to like
more.
Turks
They're going to
Caicos.
Turks and Caicos.
So they're staying in like some big house and
I'm sure. So first of all, I always love the trips because I always love the house. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I always love the trip. But I remember, it's kind of like giving birth. You remember the result, which was so great, having a baby. But do you ever remember saying, I'm never going to do this again? It's so painful.
Right.
So I forget the pain.
Yes.
And I think that if I was in it and the pain came back, like Gary and I did a thing 2 years ago, Halloween.
And Gary is your boyfriend
my
of a couple
boyfriend,
years now.
who, by
who's
the way, was
so
made for
fun.
TV. He was made for reality TV.
He is very funny.
He is. He was just made for it.
Yeah.
So we, what was I saying? 2 years ago, we filmed a Halloween thing on
Yeah.
the show.
Right.
And I have to say, it took over my week. I was on the phone with this one and that one and talking about this and that. It just
Because of what happened on camera.
well,
Because
what was going to happen on camera, what did happen on camera, what might happen afterwards. It's just the beginning, the middle. I always got very absorbed.
that was the Halloween one.
Yes.
Where Dorinda and Ramona got into it.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. But there was supposed to be kind of a storyline with me and Elise, which I didn't really want to go there because I didn't want to start. There was an issue that there was a past with Elise and I
Okay.
could have had a whole thing with her. But I'm not a cast member, and I couldn't clean it up. So if we did, I wouldn't have an interview to clean it up. I don't know how it would be represented. I just didn't see it.
Yeah.
And I said that to them. I said, if I can't finish it, what am I supposed to do? Just come in here, yell and scream at her and walk out? It just didn't make sense. And I have to be authentic. I don't think they were thrilled about that. I think they wanted something to happen. So I don't know. But I was supposed to be invited to Dorinda's that weekend. Luann had told me and whatever. And Dorinda, for whatever reason, didn't. And so that became a thing in my head. It wasn't good.
Like, yeah.
Why didn't she? Should she have? Maybe it's not good for me. It was bad. The whole thing was bad. And Gary was with me through it. And I said to him, you see, this is why I can't do the show. It's like I'm allergic to it.
Yes.
It's not healthy for me. It's
Yeah.
just not. Even though I want to, it's like I said, it's like having the
You
baby.
really
I
have
want
to
to have the
be-
baby.
I mean, I don't know who, like I remember even one time Kyle Richards was saying, I have panic attacks, I
Right.
have anxiety. Even Lala Kent talked about anxiety. And I'm like, you guys do all realize it's because you're on a show. Like, the anxiety has to be 90% of the show. You're telling me that when
Yes.
Kyle...
Oh, when I'm off the show, I'm normal.
Yeah, when Kyle wasn't filming or when she was just a mom with her kids prior,
She's
was
fine.
she suffering from anxiety about going to the
No.
preschool? There's no way.
No. This is
So
all
it's like-
self-inflicted.
Yes. I mean, and as it does, I mean, when I've had stressful things in my life, that was like the first time I realized, like, oh, this is what anxiety feels like.
Right.
This
I
is-
never knew the word
And then
for
the
it.
thing would get solved, and I'm like, oh, I never feel like that anymore. It's very. I know there's people who suffer from anxiety that maybe isn't circumstantial, or there isn't a reason behind it. But I think it definitely is with reality stars.
I
for
didn't
sure.
realize that I had that word, anxiety, and I
Yeah.
know it more now as an adult. Like I
Right.
understand I call them character defects or character flaws or whatever issues I have. It definitely brought on anxiety that I don't know if I ever had.
Yeah.
But, you know, when I did the show, I definitely didn't do it for the money. We've talked about that.
Right.
Okay. So I never did it for the money. I did it because I said, I'm only going to do it if I'm having fun. And if I'm not having fun, I don't want to do it because I didn't need to work. Bobby took care of me. And I didn't know what I didn't have because there weren't other housewives like making millions of dollars that I would be envious of. Like,
Right.
I want that because we were the beginning.
Right.
Now, if they were paying me, I think the girls that are getting paid a lot of $1 million or more can handle that anxiety knowing that it's for a paycheck.
Right.
So you have the fights and accept the abuse knowing it's for a paycheck. When I was doing it because it was real and authentic, it was much more painful.
yeah.
Do you know what I mean? But, you know, we were with Lisa Vanderpump last night.
Right.
And we talked about it. And, of course, Lisa's always said to me, you know, don't ever go back on the show. It's not healthy for you. You've moved on. You're in a good place. You have a great brand.
She said, I think that there's opportunities that are coming with your businesses that would not be there had you
Right, that's
if
what
you
she
go
said.
back on the show or if you stayed on the show.
Well, I can give
in
you an
her
example
opinion.
of being on the show hurting me financially. So I had a deal with Kodak, a very
classic scene.
right, a very good deal. It was a 6-figure deal, and I was the first one on the show probably to ever get that kind of, you know, it was Kodak, and they didn't even ask me to do this. They were just paying me to do certain things. But me being me said, I want to help them. I want to help
Right.
their business. So I decided I'm going to have a party for Kodak. And they didn't ask me to. And I had a party, and Ramona says something derogatory about the brand.
Well, I remember.
And they dropped
Can
me.
I be Ramona for a minute?
Yes, please. Go ahead.
Okay. Okay, Jill, just explain to me right now, like, why are you, like, I mean, Kodak is kind of like, it's like, yeah, it's kind of old. I mean, it's like, isn't everybody doing digital photos? And I think it's just weird. I'm just asking a question. I'm sorry. Why can't I ask? And you're like,
I was dying inside. I was dying. I was melting. I was like the witch melting. I wanted to liquefy. I couldn't believe that she would be so. And, you know, I'd like to know the truth from her. Did she do it? Did she do it because she was trying to make good TV and didn't really realize the consequences of her saying that? Or, you know what I mean? Like,
I have like studied Ramona,
or
and I'm
did she do
obsessed
it
with
to
Ramona.
hurt me? Or did she do it
Or
to
could
make
she
good
be
TV?
clueless?
No, right. Did she do it to make good TV?
It's either she was totally clueless and later on thought about the fact that by saying that it's hurting the company and your deal, and maybe she really didn't think it through because she is so like not
Impulsive.
self-aware. There's that, or
She
like
wanted to hurt me.
she wanted to hurt you, or or
I don't know the answer.
I don't know it either because I could believe all three.
I know.
I absolutely could believe that the first thought in her head was, does anyone really use real film anymore? That seems like this is on its last leg, you know? And she
But
could
you know
have
what I
thought
was-
that, but she doesn't think to then, she doesn't filter
Well,
herself.
that particular party was an event about digital. It was digital. It was taking your digital photos and making photo albums using Kodak technology. So it was actually futuristic. It was them coming out. But what I thought was crazy was that Kodak at the time had a new printer out, and they were one of the largest advertisers on Bravo because every commercial was a Kodak printer. I'm very well aware of it because I watched it. And I said to myself, oh, Bravo's never going to include that anyway because they would never want to hurt their advertiser. And that just shows you where A and B don't communicate because I'm sure that the people who collect the money were not happy that Kodak said, we're dropping you because of what you aired.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
I think that they didn't really realize that. But, you know, lessons are learned everywhere. And maybe there was a reason why I wasn't meant to do that. Who knows?
Yeah, but so then it's like, again, you shouldn't have gone above and beyond. You didn't have to do
Oh,
it.
that's another lesson learned. Just do what you're paid to do and shut the fuck up. Can I say that? Shut the fuck
Yeah.
up.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. But, you know, it's just who I am. What am I going
Right.
to do?
And did she ever say, I'm sorry, or I actually didn't put two and two together? 'Cause
No,
like I said,
say you're sorry. The only thing she ever said to me is, you see, I was right. They did go out of business. Something like that years later. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, listen, she needs the work. She needs to do the job.
Yeah.
Because she doesn't have any brands.
Right.
She doesn't have an afterlife that I know of, at least, on the show. Although she did just get her real estate license.
Yeah.
With a friend of mine. She's at Douglas Elliman.
I think that's a smart idea.
I just don't see Ramona doing it. I don't know. Kelly Ben-Simone's doing it, and I wouldn't have guessed how successful she is, but I know how hungry she is.
Yeah.
She's got 2 children to support, and she's never apologized for the fact that she has to work and take care of her family.
Right.
Ramona, I think, is in a good financial space. If you want more, you have to work, so to speak, but I think she's got a good life. Real estate is a lot of weekends and nights and giving up a lot of time, and I think Ramona likes to party. So
but
I don't know.
I think it's a smart move for her because even if she just does her own deals, you save money that way. And then it's another opportunity to be on TV. It's another opportunity to meet people. It's a storyline, a fresh storyline.
No, it's all good. It's all good. I just wish Ramona, and I were in a better place. We're in a good place. Like, we're in a 0 place, which is a good place. No, I don't hate her. She doesn't hate me. She could call me anytime. I'd answer the phone. I would hope she would answer my phone. I just, we have a lot of mutual friends, and they all say the nicest things about her. Mm-hmm. So I have to think that there's a reason they all say that. And I wish that I had that relationship with her. Only because of the circumstances. And our kids are the same age, more or less, and they were friendly during the pandemic. Avery wore our masks and gave them to Ramona. You'd think Ramona would have tagged me. No. She wore my stuff, never tagged me. Not nice. I'm just saying not nice. I know you're laughing. But, she wore the masks and the chains and everything else.
Yeah.
But never said thank you, nothing.
Right. And she knows how that works. So that's
for sure on purpose.
Yes. Yeah.
But it's all honestly, it's all good. I think I'm a different person than I was 10 years ago, for sure.
Who would you, if this show becomes a success and they maybe bring like housewives of the past, because right now they have housewives that are currently on shows.
On that island thing?
Or whatever, going on the vacation. Who of other cities.
Oh, who would be my cast?
Would you want that you think you'd have a fun for a week-long vacation in a tropical locale?
Well, so that's an interesting question because having fun and not being filmed is one kind of cast, right? So who do you like and who do you want to be with? But then you say to yourself, because like I'm insecure and want to be liked by everyone. I want to like everyone and I want everyone to like me, unlike other people that we know who don't care.
Yeah.
Like Erica Jane is a perfect example. She doesn't care.
I give 0 fucks.
And Bethany, same thing.
Zero fucks.
Less negative, 0 fucks.
Yeah.
I, unfortunately...
I give more 0 fucks than Bethany gives 0 fucks.
Right. So I'm just saying I do give 0 fucks.
I give a lot of
fucks.
Yeah, me too.
And I don't know why, and I shouldn't, but I do. I care what people...
That should be the shirt I'd come up with. I give a lot of fucks. Not 0. I give a lot. Yeah, go on.
Something.
Yeah.
You got to come up with something, a mug or something. So I wouldn't want to fight with everybody because that's not my nature. But on the other hand, it's like being in a ring, and they pay you. We all know that everyone's getting paid. And it's like the gladiators. So I don't know. It's like,
wow, that's kind of interesting.
As much as, it's funny. Some people thought that I faked it, which I didn't, or whatever. I was always very real. Like I can't help being who I am.
Yeah.
So I would still get hurt, even though I know that maybe someone's saying something to me because we're on a TV show. I would still take it personally. Where Luann would say to me, darling, as soon as the cameras are down, I don't even think about it.
Yeah.
And I wish I could do that. I'm more sensitive. But if I were to do it, like I love, they wouldn't, Cindy Barshop, we had the best time in Morocco. Kelly. Mm-hmm. I'm thinking of people who aren't on the show anymore. And then, you know what? I need choices because I don't know who everybody is. Oh, I would love to have Brandy Granville. Brandy should be on. Danielle. Oh no, but that would make great TV. You don't think so?
If I were you, I'd be scared of those people. A little scared. No offense. I'd be a little scared.
I'm not scared of them.
Okay, well, good.
I probably relate to them in some crazy way now. There's some New Jersey people probably who would be fun. Who were on the show. I don't know. There really aren't any housewives I don't like.
Right.
Because someone even said to me, if you meet somebody on a personal level, you're never going to say, I don't like them. I mean, there's very few people you meet eye to eye and then walk away saying, I really didn't like them.
Yeah.
most people. I mean, we just
Right.
talked about 2, maybe you wouldn't, but everybody else in the world.
No, everybody I've met too. I mean, I've
Even
met,
if they have
I-
the worst reputation.
I've met Danielle. I've met Brandy, and one-on-one. Yes, we have
Right,
a
you
good
would say
time.
they were nice.
But I'm just saying, in watching the show and how they do react to things, and it being a TV show, there's just a very good chance that I would do something that would piss them off. That for me would kind of scare me to be on a show with them.
Well, not just
That's
that.
all.
What hurts me is when I watch the interviews afterwards and they talk behind your back. That's the show, right? They talk to the mic and they would say something that I did or said or thought of me, and I don't care how much money you pay me, it still hurts.
Yeah.
But I always said I wanted to do an island show. So if it was a 2-week
Right.
gig, I'm sure I would say yes, even
Speaking
though
of-
everyone would tell me not to do it, including Lisa Vanderpump. I would say, darling, you're too good for that. You're too big for that. You
Right.
know? The fans are always asking me to come back. But I always feel that I'll disappoint them. I can never live up to what they remember. Who could?
Now, did you contact Annie Cohen and say, why was Allie not asked to be on Watch What Happens Live?
Do you think that I did?
I don't know. Some people think that you did.
Well, I didn't.
You didn't.
No.
Okay. Juicy.
Juicy.
Because he said on his radio show 2 housewives did that.
Do you know, I'm
And,
curious.
and a lot of people thought that you might have done it over Allie. But a lot of people said, knowing Allie doesn't care. And Allie was on it so long ago. At 12 years ago
I'm
she
just
was
curious
on it.
why it became such a story of
Because he said it.
I
Because
know, but who
Annie-
cares? So if 2 people or 3 people called him and asked, that would be normal. Like, to me, that would be normal.
Yeah.
That somebody would call. Like,
But then everybody was just speculating who is it, because there's so many former housewives that have children. Obviously, they can't all be on the stage and watch What Happens Live. And he said 2 people called and was like, why wasn't my child chosen?
so what was his
So
answer
people
why
were
he didn't
sa-
pick him? He didn't say who it
I don't
is,
know
so-
if he said that, but I think it's just like you can't have 150 children on the stage. I mean,
That's
it's
true.
COVID. It's going to.
You know
it's
what
just
I
a
think he
special
should have
Watch What
done? I
Happens
think
Live.
he should have asked the audience who they want to see. Like, do a poll. Like, who would you
I
like
think
to
it's.
see
I
back?
think they just chose people that were. People are lazy, and whoever the booker is, they just chose
You're
the
right.
easy people.
I
They
know.
know Brielle's going to show up. They know
Well,
she's
current
right
phone
around the
numbers.
corner. They
no,
know
it's all Zoom.
Candy's there.
Isn't it Zoom?
I don't know, but I just think they just go. Like, who's the top of their mind?
But
They
to
have
me-
their emails. Like, no extra research, no having to work hard to hope to get this person. That's their assignment, and they're like, who's the 7 people that are like at our fingertips? We already know their Zoom email. And they just went to those people first, and the minute they said
I
yes,
know.
then the squares
truth
were
is,
filled.
it's not a TV series. It's
Right,
not
it's
a
just
show.
a one thing.
It's a Watch What Happens Live where they're each going to get
Episode.
3 seconds of airtime.
Yeah, I guess. I don't
So
know. Yeah,
but I would guess he's going to do another one because I think with all the hype around it,
yeah.
I'm pretty sure that he'll do another one. I would think so, right?
I mean, I've thought a great TV show. Take it. It's probably in the works already, but if not, I'll take credit for it. And I've said this for years. Is a show kind of like Wee's Marriage Boot Camp, but for the children of reality stars. I don't think it just has to be housewives, but maybe kids that are a little fucked up, and therapists come in and they kind of go
That's a
back
great
to
idea.
a moment that was maybe hard for their childhood to be exposed on camera about.
Oh, you mean like when I sent Allison to the detox center?
the-
Is that what you're thinking
She
of?
called it the fat kip.
She did, but it was a detox center. But listen, the fact that she lost 10 pounds isn't a bad thing. That wasn't the goal.
That was so funny. So I stayed at Jill's house in Boca Raton the weekend before the shutdown.
Unbelievable. COVID, a
My
year ago.
last, and we go to lunch with Gloria, her mother, and Gloria is just, hilarious. And she's
She is. Oh my God.
telling us a story about this man that before she met your husband, your father, there was a man, and she went on one date with him or something, and he blew her off. And I go, why did he blow you off? She goes, because I was fucking fat. Okay. She goes, I was fat. She goes,
My mother has a lot of issues with,
and
and
she goes-
now I do.
And then years later, she sees him on the street, and now she's thin. And
I don't remember this story.
Yeah, and he like comes up to her and he totally does not recognize her.
Really?
And I can't remember what
I have to ask her.
she said something. It was just amazing. And so I said, "Oh my, yeah, come on in. Gary's got your Diet Coke."
I just wanted to see. I saw convulsing. I wasn't sure if it was the dog
Me or the dog.
or if it was Jill.
Well, we did bring up the fact that Diet Coke is my thing.
Yes. So anyway, we're driving back from the lunch. Gary, this was so
I want to
funny.
hear the
You
story.
were with
It's a
us.
glorious story.
It's a glorious story. And then Jill is talking to Allie, and she's like, "Allie, you have no idea what it was like to live with my mother. You think I'm bad? Try living with Gloria with her laxatives and her weight issues and everything like this." And I'm sitting in the back seat and with Allie, and Allie just goes, "Mom, you sent me to a fat camp on a reality show when I was 14." I was like dying
laughing.
Dying
Oh my
laughing.
God.
I'm like, where are the cameras right now? That is the fucking funniest thing I've ever seen. And I remember watching the whole thing. And then that weekend, ironically, they started playing season 1.
I know. And we watched it. Didn't we watch it together?
Maybe we were able to get it on Netflix or
No, I
or
think they had it
Hulu or
on
something.
TV. We watched it together.
We were dying. It was just like, and I'm asking Allie everything. I'm asking her questions like, okay, what was this like? And she goes, I was so awkward because we were like kind of having to reenact stuff with Bobby because I was like, when I watched it, it felt like she didn't even know Bobby. And she goes, no, we had to like do these weird, like,
That's not true.
come out and talk to him in the beginning.
I don't think she's
I
right.
remember mean episodes where you punked her. She was working for Bobby, and you made someone.
Oh, I did, and we kept calling
Yeah,
her,
I
trying to get her to answer the phone right, because I wanted her to, work part time. That was real, and so she was at the front desk answering the phone. So I'm upstairs, and I keep on making phony phone calls to the store, like, "Can I speak to so and so?" And then under different voices, I had different people, and she was going insane. It was funny. Those were the good old days, and most of that was authentic. I remember taking her shopping,
Yeah.
and I said, I'm going to have to take you to the mall like everybody else. That's your punishment. She was, it was very authentic. The first
Has
season was very
anything
authentic.
happened with her with the fall since you guys did the interview?
With you.
And we talked about the crazy. What?
Want us to stay here? Or?
No, you guys can leave.
I'm gonna have a breakfast burrito.
Okay.
I can have that with Gary too.
It's 8:00.
Are you really eating a burrito?
It's 8 a.m.
And you want to know why you are FAT?
Oh God, Gloria, stop it!
Did you see him? 30 pounds during the pandemic.
For when I lose weight, I'm gonna return it.
He bought a shirt and didn't have the tag taken off. He's walking around with the tag on his
return it.
shirt.
I'll just-
It's a magnetized tag, and he's. Can you take a picture of this, please?
Yes.
I think this causes infertility. If it's
Gary.
too close, look.
Okay, just shut the door.
Gary
I have
is
all
so
these
funny.
questions.
I
Okay.
pee in my pants from him. The other night, I literally peed in my pants from him.
Okay. Let's see. I forgot what we were talking. You came on my show for anyone that missed it, and it was in the beginning of the pandemic, and it was just such a juicy story.
Is that when it was? It was only a year ago?
Yeah, because we did it on Zoom.
It was only a year ago? No, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about.
Yes,
oh, yeah, you're
about-
right. It was
about-
Zoom in the
yes,
kitchen.
so-
with Allie.
In
That
a
was- that's
nutshell,
the-
it was just a very interesting story that Allie was conceived during your first marriage, but through a sperm donor.
which I had never shared with anybody but you
Right.
publicly.
Yes.
I gave you the juicy
The
scoop
exclusive.
exclusive.
And then she found who she thought was her sperm donor, but there was a mix-up at the lab, and it
Yes.
wasn't.
Yes.
Has
that's
she
true.
talked to the actual sperm donor dad yet?
She has been. She has texted with him.
Okay.
And I have texted with him, and I wanted to meet him, and Allie said, "No, you can't meet him until I meet him. I'm not ready to meet him." Blah blah blah. But recently, we had I had a medium, psychic medium, talk around Bobby's birthday. I always like to,
Yeah.
communicate with him, and I do, and I believe in it, and that's just,
Actually, they had a really amazing girl named Gina Marie on Real Housewives of New Jersey last night.
I didn't see
that. I think it was the most blown away,
Really?
psychic moment on a
Oh, I
reality
need-
show
oh
I've
my
ever
God,
seen
I need to
because
get
she
her.
nailed every single girl with stuff that
No one
even if
knew?
you were the biggest fan of Housewives, you just wouldn't have known. And they were like all bawling.
who brought her in?
Teresa?
Okay, I got to call Teresa and get the number. So
Gina Marie is her name. I couldn't believe it.
I don't know this one, but I mean, there's
Yeah.
Anna Marie Monday. Was it that Anna Marie?
Maybe it was Anna Marie. I thought it was Gina Marie.
Is it Anna Marie Ramundi?
I just said I think it's Gina.
I think no, but I think it sounds like anyway. If
Somebody
it's the one,
worry. Okay.
if it's the same one, she's the one who's been the most unbelievable.
All right.
Like, it was a couple of weeks ago, and she says Gary was in the house, and you remember I want to talk to Bobby and that, but that doesn't. You don't always get what you want.
Right.
You know. So she says to me, "Who's Howie, and why is?" And he's got a stethoscope around his neck. Now remember, she's a medium, so she only talks to dead people. Gary's stepfather's name was Howie, and he passed a year ago and was a gynecologist and always had a stethoscope around his neck. How could she know that? Nobody even knows Gary's family history.
Right,
Like,
right.
That was like the beginning of the whole thing. Wait, but why did I bring up the psychic? What was what was the question?
About
Sorry.
Bobby and and her sperm donor
Oh, the
dad.
sperm donor dad.
Of
So
Allie.
recently, when I had the psychic, the medium, different psychic
Yeah.
is the future, the medium, had said some things about Allie that I wanted to verify. If she kept on saying she saw Phyllis, there's a Phyllis there, Phyllis, and I don't know any Phyllis that's passed. So we wanted to know if there was a Phyllis on Allie's side. So I contacted the stepfather, and there wasn't. So we're still trying to find out who this Phyllis was, and she was pretty adamant about it. So it'll be interesting if someone comes up. You know, in my life or whatever. I don't know. But she was pretty amazing.
What did you think of Tinsley breaking up with Scott and the Dorinda situation? That you know how Dorinda was so awful about, you're going to get a turkey baster and try to get pregnant. Remember that was kind of like the end right before they're like, she was just like, just being horrible. What did you think of that whole situation?
I think it's really sad. I feel bad for her.
For Tinsley.
Yep, I think she did the right thing. Like we wrote a book, as you know, you have it behind me, Secrets of a Jewish Mother, and I say we also, you never move without the ring.
Okay.
And she moved with the ring. She did the right. Although actually she didn't move with the ring.
Actually, she didn't.
Actually, she didn't, but she got it.
But she did, and I remember watching that video. The video was very beautiful.
Yes, very romantic.
Very genuine when he asked her, and she's wearing a coat. They were outside.
It was genuine, but yet it wasn't. In other words, like it was a show that I guess if they weren't famous, maybe they would have done that. I'm not so sure. I think that she did that.
I feel everybody films their engagement now. Like every guy that's not every guy, but
I guess
a lot of people have it set up where their friend is watching.
Anyway,
and they
whatever it
surprise
was, it was
them.
very beautiful, very authentic, very real, and she got a beautiful ring, and she moved. And I would have done the same thing. I would have told her the same advice
You
about
would have
the
said
show.
leave the show.
If he's putting it to you
Yes.
that, it's me or the show. But I would also say what kind of guy would do that to you when you're in the, first of all, you need the money. I mean, she's a wealthy girl, but, she still has to support herself to a certain extent. So he could have waited until she finished filming for the season. Like there was no fire. Like he could have said, listen, I don't want to be on the show. Don't bring me on the show. Don't talk about me on the show. Finish your season. It's only another 2 months. And then get out of your contract. Instead, he really forced her to disrupt her relationship with Bravo, which I don't know if it's permanent damage or not. We don't know.
Yeah.
If she doesn't come back, it could be because of that, because of how she left, and it cost them a lot of money. A lot of time, a lot of money to replace her.
Well, they didn't replace her. They just carried on without her.
But it was, it was still money.
Yeah.
I mean, there was no
And
question.
I think
Editing,
that
they
was
had to
the thing,
re-edit.
and that was really Dorinda's trigger. Like, that pissed off Dorinda a lot.
That she left in the middle.
That she left. When she had her final freak out, it's because Leah was just saying, and thanks to Tinsley, I got to meet you guys. And then Dorinda was just like, don't you mention Tinsley. And, kind of broke the fourth wall and all that.
So
and
you know what? That tells me that not only did it cost the show money, but the girls had to compensate for her loss. In other words, I don't know what was going on behind the scenes, but clearly Dorinda had to pick up the slack and didn't get paid more when Tinsley left. And she probably resented that. I'm guessing.
And I say
guessing, I have
that.
no
I say
idea.
lots of times these veterans that have now been on several seasons, just like anybody else that's working the shifts at the restaurant, are like, why do I have to do 2 extra shifts? And she doesn't. Like, even though it's supposed to be your life and you're filming and you're this and you're that, sometimes they're like, I wish I could get out of showing up to this thing and just lay in my bed and not put on a mic and not put on makeup. And if they feel like they're putting in more days than somebody else,
It's not fair they get the same money.
yeah, and it becomes more like that than just actually the authentic fight of I
know
didn't
what's
like
so
where I was
funny?
seated at the restaurant.
In the beginning, you'd fight for airtime.
Yeah.
Like you would create scenes, you would do anything to get more than your, like, let's say allocated 9 minutes an episode. If you take the girls 44 minutes, you have 5 girls. I think I remember
Yeah.
doing the math. It was like 9 minutes a girl. And, the more time you had on TV, the more famous, whatever it was.
Yeah.
But, when you're on it 10 times, 10 years, like you want as little time as possible because the more time you're on, the more chances are you're going to say something, you're going to do something, you're going to get yourself in trouble.
Yeah.
So, and then there's the resentment of why should I work harder than everyone else?
Right.
Why should I make a party and spend money and nobody else is?
Now, those parties, when you sit down with them and they go, okay, what do you got going on this year? And you say, oh, I've got this big deal with Kodak. Why don't we throw a party celebrating my big deal? We're going to have it at this restaurant. Back then, did Kodak pay for that? Did Bravo, or did you pay for that party?
Definitely not Bravo.
Okay.
I'm going to guess Kodak paid for that party.
So do you think still, like, you throw, okay, Kyle Richards throws a dinner party, and she has that cater, that kind of overweight guy who is her party planner, and there's only 10 people there, but
Right.
they've got 8 people working.
Right.
With all the food
I
being
don't
made on
know.
the flowers.
I have no idea now. I mean, if I had a guess, if it's something that they were going to do without the show, then the show may or may not cover it. If the show asks you to do something, that they cover it. And I think they've become more generous because every
because I
season they
just
have more
can't
money.
Imagine like that, if that was not being filmed, that's a $10,000 evening. To
This
have
is
a
what I
dinner
will tell you.
party.
If you're a new housewife, you're going to pay for it.
Right.
If you're a new housewife, because you want the 9 minutes I talked about.
Right.
So if you want the time, then you have to put in up the money so that the producers pick. So you're right.
I mean, I think when Erica Jane put people on one of their 2 private jets, there's no way Bravo was picking up that gas bill.
That's true.
She paid for that.
Absolutely.
Or the victims of the orphans paid for it.
And that's why they followed her to New York. So this is the thing. So they ask everybody what they're doing. And let's say they only have 2 camera crews. I'm guessing they have 2 camera crews a day. 2 in the morning or 2 at night. So there's, let's say, 6 girls. They ask everybody what they're doing. They're going to follow and pick the best 2 events that they think work in the show. So if you're new and you're trying to get in and get more time so you stay on the show, you're going to want to give them good stuff. And it doesn't mean Bravo's going to pay for it.
Right.
Listen, reunions and finales, when there's like a finale or a trip, of course the show needs it. And but in the beginning, they didn't pay for any of that, like that big charity event that I did and all that. And that was that's the investment that I made to become famous.
Right.
And back then it cost me more than I made and really paved the way for now. But the advantage is that I'm an OG.
Right.
And I wouldn't trade that for anything because I have the longevity.
Speaking of OGs, do you keep in touch? You do keep in touch with Alex, right?
I haven't spoken to her in a long time, even since the pandemic. But her children grew up. That was kind of cool looking at their Instagram.
Yeah.
Because remember, they were like 2 and 4. And now they're like
Francois, and what was the other one?
Johan.
Yeah.
But they're like grown-ups. They're like 6'2".
A recent story came out. I mean, an old story recently came out that is still one of the most disturbing stories out of the franchise. That Simon
What?
said in an interview that they were having like a home birth or something, or one of the children were being born, and he ejaculated during the birth.
On what?
On her or on her
I never
back
read
or
that.
something.
I wish I knew that when we were filming. How did I not know that?
Well, I think he gave the interview after they were filming.
I'm like
How many
in shock.
seasons was Alex on?
4.
4. Well, he did this interview. Maybe that was when she was like,
Oh my
remember when
God.
Ramona walked out because she was pissed?
Yes.
That she did a
A
Playboy
nude-
spread or a
not
nude
even
photo?
like a nude picture came out. Could you
But is that
imagine?
because
Wait,
her-
could you imagine? Do you know that this season they're all naked,
I know.
and yet she was? Someone needs to call that out at the reunion.
Well, you just called it out right now. You're right. They're all bouncing around.
but
in
yet
the-
she couldn't look at Alex McCord's nude photo.
I
Oh
heard
my God, I have
that
to bring that up.
it had an adverse effect on the Catholic school that Avery was going to.
That is true. She had to leave the school.
Directly because Alex did a nude photo, or the whole show?
No, the whole show. The whole
Okay.
show. And I
And
you know what? I don't want to
Ramona's
say.
mind, she probably wanted to blame a specific thing and probably blame the nude photo.
I don't want to say that that's 100% fact. That's what I've heard enough times that I think it's fact.
Yeah.
I think Ramona has said that, but if she hasn't, I apologize. I'm pretty sure she's has
Yes.
shared that.
Yes.
Right.
That it was.
'Cause
Yeah.
I don't want to say something that about
Right.
that's not true.
So probably what happened is it probably did cause her to change schools,
which is a good thing. It's always a good thing.
And I think Ramona probably not liking Alex in her mind was like, it's that nude photo, not the entire show, not
It was actually,
Yeah.
it was definitely the entire show.
right.
But I have to tell you the difference between us. I probably would have left the show.
You would have left the show over what?
If the school put it to me and said the show or the school, I would have left the show.
Yeah.
But Ramona didn't. She left the school. And maybe that was the right move, but I don't think I would have. I think I would have kept her in I think I would have been.
I would have said I would have said fuck you to the school.
You would have?
I don't like that when schools do that. I understand it's private school, whatever, but that's just like
You know what?
kind of judginess. Like, oh, shut up.
Well, all the private schools now have a rule because of some of the, do you remember that New York City prep?
Yes,
Allie, my
That
daughter,
that
helped cast that.
reality show. Yes,
She didn't help cast it. Nobody asked. She had recommended a couple of girls
Yes,
who ended up
yeah.
getting on it. They went to the same private school as Allie, but they were younger. So
Okay.
Allie went on first, and the headmaster loved Allie and loved the way she represented herself as classy. And, I don't think I did anything that made the school look bad.
Yeah.
And they were fine with her being on it and whatever. When New York City Prep came on, and that really made the girls, I think, said something bad about the school or whatever, the school came up with a policy that if you want to be on reality TV, you can't come to the school.
I think what it was is the girls said something like they don't do their work or they pay. Like it was something derogatory
About the
Yeah.
school.
Yeah.
I mean, really? You're going to say that publicly?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I don't think they've done so well. I would love to see that. I would love to see them come back for a Where Are You Now?
Yes, and then even like when Tinsley had her own show, the It Girl show, like
Oh, that was called High Society.
yes, like where are all those people?
No, and what about the Long Island Princesses? Remember that?
Oh yes, that's
the
Chantel.
the Housewives of Long Island. That show. They didn't call it that, but it was like,
I thought it was called Long Island Princess.
I think it was. I'd love to know what happened to those girls.
Well, the one girl, it's Chantel, and she has had had Luann on
I don't know.
her podcast. Anyway, okay. Let me see what else I have. Celebrity wife swap. Someone
Yes.
said, "Do you regret how they portrayed you in that, or how
The
you
only
portrayed
thing I
yourself?"
regret is what I look with that hair. I only regret the short red blonde hair, which Allison told me looked terrible, that I looked horrific at her graduation. And I looked in the mirror and I thought I looked fabulous. When I look back at the pictures, Allie was 100% right. I don't know.
Did you do
what-
celebrity wife swap
fuck I was
after
doing.
Housewives was over with?
Yes, definitely. Way after.
Okay. And
That was so much fun. The only thing I regret saying was when I was driving, and I knew as soon as it came out of my mouth, I'm like, put
Yeah.
that back. Was when I was in the limo driving to the house, and I'm like, oh, this must be where regular people live, or something
okay.
housewifey, something
Yes.
snarky, but it's not really something I meant. It was
Right.
just trying to be funny, and it really wasn't funny. And
Then what about the David Tutaro, whatever that thing
that
was?
was a disaster.
That
And
was-
I don't know why. I don't know what
Okay,
happened.
what was the story behind that?
Well, I got asked to do it. I didn't get paid. So there was nothing in it for me. He makes a lot of money. I didn't get it. And Allie and I were doing it together. And it
And
was
what was
supposed to
the
be
party?
my 50th birthday.
Okay.
I had already had it, whatever. But I was
Yeah.
gonna do it in LA because I actually have a lot of LA friends. You were there.
No,
Oh, you didn't come?
I think I was out of town doing stand up or
I mean,
something.
I had like 50 people there, and
Yeah.
I have a lot of friends from LA. It was shocking.
Yeah.
So, so I thought it would just be fun to have a party here.
Right.
And we met with him somewhere in Westwood or whatever, and had brunch. And he was very abrupt and very kind of not that friendly,
Yes.
but that's his kind of personality.
Right.
And talked about ideas and whatever. And then the next thing we filmed was getting dresses or whatever for the thing, and it was like a style out with him there, what he liked, and that was fine. And then I did gift bags because, I'm all about the gift bags. And I tried to get everybody who came something nice for coming because that's, and I worked really hard doing it, trying to get all this free shit, And, I love to do that for my parties. I love to do it. I love to torture myself. And we had this one scene in a pet store.
Yeah.
I don't remember why we went to the pet store, but it was in a pet store. And we're sitting talking. And I knew that he had a child. He had a daughter with a surrogate. And I think he was divorced or separated from his husband.
Well, I don't know what happened, but he conceived twins, fraternal twins with a surrogate. So they had the same mother, the same egg, but one sperm was his and one sperm was his partner's. And then they broke up before she gave birth, and they each just took their own child and called it a day.
Well, that seems fair, but
well,
a little strange.
A little strange that
they can't grow up together.
The half siblings that were in utero together, I don't know if they have any relationship, but they're half siblings.
Sad. But they would. I think at the time I filmed it, they were maybe about 2.
Okay.
And I did some research on him. So what I was trying to do was to connect to him.
Yes.
Okay. So the intention was good. And I said to him, I think we have something in common. And this was the first time I really told anybody.
Yeah.
But I don't know why I felt I wanted to share it with him. And
on camera or not
on camera? Because he had used a sperm donor.
Right.
A sperm egg. And I said,
it was his sperm, but he donor egg.
Right, donor egg. But it was the same,
Right.
And I said, I think we have something in common. I said, I know that you have a child using it as a surrogate. And I did that with my daughter. That was really the first time I ever said on camera. And of course, this show nobody watches, so nobody even picked it up.
Okay.
But I said that. So that was the only thing I thought that maybe put him off. I don't know.
Yeah.
And I know when I say something wrong. I know when I do something wrong. And Allie was with me the whole time.
You don't always know when you're doing something wrong. Oh, yeah, finish the story.
That is
I
true.
remember
With you, I said something and I didn't pick up on it.
No, there's another story I'm going to bring up, but go on. But
anyway,
finish that part.
So I have no awareness. But I was with Allie, who does have awareness. So she would have said, Mom, you did this wrong or you said that wrong. She was with me the entire time.
Yeah.
Except for the pet store time. She wasn't with me for that one scene.
Okay.
Anyway, the night before the party or the day, they tell me that David isn't coming to the reveal because he's stuck in a snowstorm in the Midwest.
Okay.
I'm like, what? Why would he leave to go? Well, he had an appearance there and he had to go. And it didn't sound right to me, Heather. And I knew something was off. And I was pissed. They told me this when we were getting ready at the event space to do the party.
All right.
And we were getting ready. And I was pissed. And I told them that. I'm like, are you kidding me? I'm not going to do it then. Like, what am I doing here?
Yeah.
Like, you're not paying me. Like, what the fuck? Anyway, somehow, some way he shows up.
Okay.
He shows up. So I thought maybe it was all planned.
Okay.
To fuck with me and get me all pissed off. And you know what I mean? Like, I thought maybe it was planned or whatever. And Allie looked beautiful that night. And the party was, it was all right. They didn't put a lot into it. The flowers were ucky. It wasn't great. He's not great.
Yeah.
But they did something cute. They had these like Dancing with the Stars dancers as like a little act. And, but he stayed for like 1 minute and left.
Okay.
So I was like, all right, whatever. I didn't understand why he wouldn't want to meet like these unbelievably great Beverly Hills friends that I have for events because they can afford him.
Right.
But whatever, to each his own. Months and months, maybe a year later, he's on either Andy's show or some show. And they ask him, who's the worst episode like you ever had? And he said me. And I was like, what? Yeah. And he said, you ready for this? You're laughing, but it was really hurtful. You know what he said?
What?
He said that he said, and I told her, they told her that I couldn't be at her party and that I was away in, Minnesota in a snowstorm. And that was a lie. I was just at home. And I was really upset. Like, I didn't do anything. I'm saying inside.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, what a piece of fucking shit.
Because he has no show now, so who cares?
You know what? I went to California
to
do his show. I got no money. I got nothing out of it except a party for friends that I could care less. And by the way, he made it downtown L.A., so it was a real schlep for them to get to this event space. But they showed up for him for this thing. I could have had nobody show up. I'm just saying, like, how ungrateful of him and mean, and to like mess with me that night. I'm with my daughter, and I really have no idea what I said or did to him. But A, it wasn't on purpose, and B, then say something to me. But to a year later say I was the worst show you ever had, and you lied to me, just tells me he's a piece of shit. So I don't know.
I agree.
I don't know what the question was, but I don't think I've ever.
Good.
By the way, I don't think I've ever told the story. But who wants to give him any press anyway? You know.
I don't know who. Okay, let me see what else I have.
That's juicy, by the way.
That is pretty good.
Yeah.
Jerry Cohen jewelry and her 2 pugs.
Where is she? I have
Someone
no
asked
idea.
about that. They asked if you're still in touch with her, and I
am
don't know
not.
who that is, but I just thought I'd ask.
Jerry Cohen Jeweler was a friend and a jeweler in New York. In fact, she's one of the people that the show called to find housewives. Like they called photographers and they called Jerry Cohen. She was kind of like, I don't want to say the it jeweler, but like the neighborhood jeweler.
Okay.
And she was friends with another mutual friend of mine, and she was really, really funny. She should have had her own TV show. And I tried to get her one, but it didn't work out. But she closed her store. She's probably retired living in Florida. I haven't spoken to her, but I would love to. So, Jerry, if you're here listening, call me.
Have you ever worn or owned a Giovanni dress?
Yes. Not through them, but yes. And I love Giovanni. And I have to tell you about that whole thing, you know. It's like I was probably the original one who got free clothes because of, you know, me loving to get free stuff, and I'm very good. No, I own it, you know. I know who I am, and I own it. And I'm really good at, like, making relationships and trying to, you know, I'm good at it. So anytime I had a relationship, I would share it. Like there was one that we filmed where we actually filmed a scene in her showroom. And I shared all my contacts with Luann, with Ramona, whatever. And I remember once Ramona had a contact with a dress company. And either I asked or Luann asked her if she could hook us up. And she said, no, they're only for me, or something like that. It was like, what? Like why don't you share? Like, why would you do that? And that's like the whole thing with Dorinda. I mean, Luann was on the show first. Luann's like the OG.
Right.
And you hooked her up, and that's really nice of you. And I'm sure she said thank you. And if she didn't, she would now. But that's it. It's like.
But I'm sure even if Luann wanted Giovanni or whatever, El Tahari or whatever, all she had to do is have her contact.
That's what I'm
say,
saying. Exactly.
Do you want frickin' Luann coming and filming in your showroom? Of course they're going to give you free shit.
And I'm sure that if Dorinda asked Luann for a favor or a hookup, in 2 seconds she would, you know? So I just think that the girls they all want to get credit for these hookups.
Like the Nutcracker.
I mean, I want to get credit too. Nobody wants credit more than Jill Zarin. But all I need is a thank you. You know what I mean? And I'm good. You know, but it is nice to be appreciated. Like if I hook you up, a thank you is nice. But that's it. It doesn't have to be beaten into me, you know?
Oh, I remember the story, and if we can't talk about it, we'll
Okay.
just cut it out. But remember we talked when I was visiting you one of these past times. Maybe it was the last
You
time
have the
I was
best
there.
memory.
And we talked about how you went and visited a friend in England and her husband.
Yeah.
And it was like the second time you guys had hung out, and you had
Yeah.
a great time.
Yeah.
And then
And
then
they never
on-
heard from them again.
and you never heard from them again, and they completely blew you off, and you reached out while Bobby was still alive. She blew you off. I think finally when Bobby did pass, she did then
Yes.
respond.
Yes.
And you said, can you just tell me what it was?
Yes.
And she said, I will tell you when
She
I
never
see you in
did.
person. So you never found out what it was.
I never found out, and I tried to reach out to her when I went to London afterwards, and she didn't reply again. She went dark. So there was like a moment right after he passed that she would tell me, and I never got it out of her. I mean, I was curious because I'm not always self-aware. I'm not perfect for sure.
It's brilliant when you find out.
Well, I
Like
learned.
I had a friend. We did stand up together. She was about 17 years older than I was. So I was like 23 and she was 40, but she was young and very youthful, acting and gorgeous and single. And we had such a good time, literally talked on the phone all the time. And then one day she just would not. I mean, this is back when you kind of still had to answer the phone. You didn't know. So
Right.
I'd get her on the phone a couple times, but she'd try to get me off the phone. Didn't want to talk to me, like weird eye contact thing when I sit at the Comedy Store. Finally, it just ended. Never heard from her again. I always wondered, what did I do?
You never found out?
No, I did. I always wondered, what was it? What was it? Years pass. And like MySpace comes and I'm like 35 and I somehow find her and we start talking. And I say, we get on the phone. She's like, oh my God, how are you? And we're laughing like it was yesterday. And I'm like, what happened? And I even used something like a mutual person I knew had cancer just to get her to like call me back, just anything. And she said, well, do you remember Johnny Sanchez? And he was this comedian that hung out at the Comedy Store, and he was cute and really charismatic, but he was really short for me. Okay. Not for everybody, but for me, he was short. And she said, well, I liked him, like romantically. I had no clue.
Okay.
And they were at a booth together in the Comedy Store one night, and I did a set or whatever, and we were always very chatty, Johnny and I, platonic friends. And I joined the booth, and she thought I took over, and she thought I was flirting with him. And to me, it was just like, this guy is like 5'6", like, and I was so about only dating people that were taller than I am. And I never thought of him like that. And I also didn't think that she was hot for him because he was like 15 years younger than her. And I just didn't think she'd be interested.
Crazy?
And that was it.
Aren't you glad you found out?
I mean, it's kind of brilliant when you find out.
I am dying to
and
know.
you and I are similar in that we get in our head about like, what did I do? Because I mean, I just told a story on Patreon, which you will hear.
Because I pay for Patreon.
Yes.
I love Patreon.
About a party that I couldn't get into, and it was because the girl heard I said something about her. I don't want to kill the story. Go back and listen. But, and I made my friend go back into the party. The friend was going to leave with me. I go, you go back in that party, you find out.
Oh my God, that's brilliant.
What I fucking did. Because my life has been talking behind people's backs, and occasionally they find out, and it fucks me up.
But who hasn't?
I've made a career out of it.
Don't you love when you're talking to a girlfriend and you're gossiping about everyone, but you both acknowledge that you don't gossip about anybody? Like you'll talk about someone like, I don't like her because she talks too much, and here we are talking about her. Oh my God, all crazy.
Okay. People are asking about Gary. Do you think there are a wedding in the future?
No, not right now. No. Nope.
Okay.
First of all, I think Gary is so cute and so hot. 30 pounds less. Gary needs to lose 30 pounds.
Gloria has entered
Gloria's
the room.
pissed off too. No, you know what? We all did. I also did. So
did I.
As we ate a bag of potato chips on our way over here.
You
look better than ever, so I don't know what you're talking about.
You know what it is, though? There was this black skirt that I wore the weekend at your
With
house.
me, and you can't fit into it?
Have not been able to fit into it for 6 months. And I just tried it on yesterday.
And?
Not even close.
Oh, shit. But you
And
look great.
I still, it's just
I know,
like,
it feels
I'm
bad.
like, no,
Yeah,
this
these
isn't
pants I used to be able to fall
yeah,
off of
it's
me,
just
and now I
not
wear,
right. Okay. But everybody's in it, and who cares? Okay. Now, you said every housewife and everybody you've ever liked. So one of the questions was there ever a weird housewife interaction with someone in the franchise? Or no, everybody's been a delight when they've met you?
I think everyone's been a delight.
That's good.
Yeah.
Any new trends in home design that you could tip off the world about?
Oh, well, I just
noticing?
so I just came back from the World Market, and
Yes.
I found some of the most incredible stuff that I'm hoping I can do some collaborations on. Trends. Well, outdoor is huge. Everyone's doing outdoor rugs, outdoor, furniture, outdoor lighting. I think, trends are tricky.
Yeah.
I mean, yellow, they say, is a big color, but, it's like if you don't like yellow, don't do it. It's
Yeah.
your home. It's not clothing. It doesn't translate.
Do you ever regret how much Tiffany blue you used in that one apartment?
I
redo?
regret ever knowing that person and how much money it cost me and how much he took from me. So I don't even want to talk about him. So that's and that wasn't the only one I fucked. I messed up so many apartments that I'm getting depressed thinking of all the money I could have had.
Okay.
Yeah, that's pretty depressing. But trends, I would say casual. Everything is very casual, not formal. And I think you all know this. Nobody's living in the Louis XIV type style anymore with the wood and the gold and all that stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
Everybody's into the contemporary and the grays and the taupes and the woods and softness. And that's what I've been working on. I just came out with a new rug collection, shag rugs on top of the outdoor rug and the other one. And then I have English country coming. And I have 20 sizes in shag. Can you imagine having 20 different sizes in a rug line? I even go up to 14 feet now. So if anybody's looking, and I have a special code.
Yes, tell.
What should it be? I think juicy.
Just
Juicy
juicy.
15.
Okay.
Juicy.
Yes.
I always love to say juicy.
So, any advice for 20 to 30-year-old women with their romantic relationships and marriages? Any tips for people either trying to find the guy or how to a good tip of making a marriage easier now that you've have that these long marriages behind you?
I've been with Gary now for 9 months and we're not married, but even on a trip when we're together 24 hours a day, it's we both need a break. Probably he needs a break from me more than I need a break from him. But sometimes I need a break from him too. So you just have to make a break, and take a time out and just do your own thing.
Any advice to the 20-year-old Jill?
Oh my God. Okay. Buy the S&P 500 and nothing else and hold it for the rest of your life. That's an investment tip, everyone. Just buy the S&P. Don't try to pick your own stocks. Don't pay loads. Don't pay anything. Just buy the S&P. God, my father, who's 91, tells me, and he's been in the stock market for 70 years, that if you had bought the S&P instead of all this other crap, you would have done better.
Interesting.
So, anyway, and what else would I tell myself? I probably would have had more children.
You always say that.
Yeah. Yeah. I knew it then. I knew when I made the choice not to, that it was a mistake. But it wasn't a mistake. It was meant to be. But because I was always afraid I couldn't afford it and this and that. It's nobody can afford it. You just do it.
Right.
You just do it. So.
Well, I do think that, nobody ever regrets having the kids.
Well, I wouldn't say that.
Well, maybe
Actually.
It might give
Oh,
their.
what does that mean?
I'll say this. I just think it's very rare that someone is I would, unless they're a really sick, horrible person. They're I wish I didn't have you. They're always glad they had the child.
Absolutely.
So, if you don't want to have children, I think that's a brilliant gift from God.
I do too.
And embrace it and love it and live your life.
With no
because there's
regret.
so many people that want to have children who can't or don't meet the right partner or don't want to do it alone, so they don't have children. But I think that, but it's exactly, but if but every people that do have the children, even if it's young or they're struggling, you got to use it as that's going to be the motivator for you to do better. And so it's just,
I would have liked to have had a sibling for Allie.
Yeah.
And for me, because I would have liked to have had a boy, because I think boys, are different than girls. Anyway, that's 20-year-old Jill. And I think that's about it. Those are the two big things I'd go back and tell myself.
Advice for dating a widow.
For dating a widow or
Yes.
widower?
Both, either or.
I think if somebody wants to date someone who's lost someone, and Gary's a perfect example of perfection, is that he lets me talk about Bobby all the time.
I know. And you never
And he
hold
embraces
back.
it.
And it's never awkward.
Nope.
And he never.
I have to say, though, because Bobby, was much older than he is also. And Bobby has a legacy of just respect that so many people had for him as a person, as a businessman and everything. So I think that, Gary looks up to Bobby like everybody does.
Yeah.
Even my first husband, Stephen, everybody looked up to Bobby. So he was a specifically special individual. But I talk about Bobby every day, all day. And I even call him Bobby. But yesterday I called him Stephen, my first husband. How do you like that? So
You called Gary Stephen?
yeah. Well, Stephen, yeah. Well, Stephen's working with me. My first husband, I hired him as my CPA, as my CFO.
Okay.
Yeah. So
Great.
family affair. So right? We've got the Jill and Allie masks, and we've got all that stuff, and now we're getting into clothes. We're doing a collection for the summer called Visiting Day. So it'll be all kinds of stuff for meeting your family, doing reunions, clothes, and keychains, and kitschy stuff.
Cute.
It's gonna be
I
really
love
cute.
it.
I'll send you.
I love it. So everybody follow Mrs. Jill Zarin on Instagram.
I'm
Go-
on Clubhouse too. If anyone's on Clubhouse,
Okay.
I know you haven't done it because
haven't done it.
You're doing enough here.
Yeah.
But it's another format of speaking to people about getting advice and stuff. I love it.
And the book is Secrets of a Jewish Mother. Maybe you want to give that for Mother's Day. All the items and everything, it's jillandally.com.
Well, it could be jillzarin.com will get you there, but we're
Okay.
having a special sale where we're giving away like a mask bag, a beautiful that we sold for $42 for every purchase of a 3-pack that's already a value pack. So it's like spending, $36 and getting $100 worth of stuff. And an additional 15% off if you say Juicy in the promo code.
So do it, you guys, for everything.
And the rugs are incredible.
Yes, they really are. And I'm going to get a whole bunch here. And
Yeah,
I
I'm
want
gonna
some
get 'em
outdoor
here.
ones, too, for
You
the
bet.
summer. Thank you, Jill Zarin. You're the best.
Love you guys.
Well, guys, I will be in Casper, Wyoming this Friday night. And, of course, my next date is at Miami Improv. In June. You go to heathermcdonald.net. We're going to be adding dates for the fall as well, but make sure you get those tickets. They will sell out. So excited. And of course, Patreon, you guys, new episodes every Friday, plus more for the other tiers. I appreciate you. And Justin Martindale is Thursday's show.